I woke up this morning with a deep feeling of happiness, a sense of joy, a sense of presence in my body, a sense of gratitude for the home that we have, for the place that we live, for the peace that we experience. And of course, immediately my thoughts then went to all the people who are not waking up with that feeling in the world for whatever reason that may be. And there are some very obvious ones around us at the moment, of course. And I also was thinking about what to say here, and I was really mindful that normally I record the podcast several days, sometimes a few weeks before the day when it's due to go out. And in fact, this time I'm actually a day late. Ordinarily I would put it live on the Saturday and send out an email to everyone who subscribes to the mailing list on the Sunday, but it is now 10 to 1 on the Sunday when it would normally all be done and dusted. And I'm very mindful that there's a reason why it's taken me some time to work out what to say here this week. And there was even part of me that thought, well, do I need to say anything? There's an awful lot of words being said at the moment. And do I need to contribute? Do I need to add to that? Because everything is feeling so tender. And perhaps the best thing is actually some quiet, some peace. And yet, I have seen and received so many gorgeous messages from friends and from people who follow the podcast, from clients, from people who are part of the groups that I run on Facebook, that I just wanted to share a couple of things. And also, this week a new My Darling Girl came to me as well. They don't come as thick and fast as they used to, as I've come into a place of calm and quietness inside me. But this one felt very relevant and resonant because essentially it was a response to a question that I've been noticing inside me, which is it okay? Is it okay for me to feel okay when all around us is such pain and loss and grief and anger and anguish? And I realised I'd been putting that question out into the universe and into my inner self, my inner wisdom, and a response arrived in the form of a piece of poetry as part of the My Darling Girl response mechanism that I have inside me. And so I'd really love to share that with you in case that resonates with you too. But before that, there are a couple of things. Emma wrote to me and shared some pieces of immense wisdom. And one of the comments that she made was, it feels like a radical act to keep our light shining and our hearts open at this time. And I felt that really summed up how I feel and how I know so many of us feel, that in order to create the world that we want to create, part of that is this radical act of keeping our light shining and our hearts open, even when it feels like we are surrounded by fear And of course, all fear wants to do is close us down. It's a protective mechanism. And all the people that are creating the fear want to do is close us down and isolate us. And I did some training yesterday with Tara Brach, which was an honour to be in her presence and to be listening to her wisdom. But one of the things that she talks about is conscious relating. And by that, she means that by connecting with others, then we are more able to connect with ourselves. And there was something that she said that I wrote down during the session, which I just thought was such a powerful concept, particularly with everything that's going on in Ukraine. And she talked of being at war with ourselves. And in order to cut through the trance of unworthiness, the thing that holds us isolated and small, then we need to practice this art of conscious relating. Because if we're in a vacuum with just our own thoughts, then the loop just continues and the groove gets deeper and deeper and deeper, and the fear and the unworthiness just get compounded. But when we practice conscious relating, and even being here and listening here, knowing that there are hundreds, thousands of others listening to these words, being here collectively together, that is part of conscious relating. I feel that very, very deeply every time I speak with you. And by connecting with others, we soften. And then those loops, they dissolve. And we become at peace with ourselves. And it just felt such a beautiful metaphor in terms of how we send out the energy that we want to send out at a time like this. To be trapped in the fear, but to allow ourselves, as Emma so beautifully said, to practice this radical act and keep our light shining and our hearts open. There was something else that was shared, which I found really moving as well. So Debbie shared a quote from Gandhi. When I despair, I remember that all through history, the ways of truth and love have always won. There have been tyrants and murderers, and for a time they can seem invincible, but in the end they always fall. Think of it. Always. And then I was thinking about the power of poetry, and there is a beautiful quote from EMILY Dickinson, a line that I'm sure many of us are familiar with, which is, "Hope is the thing with feathers." Oh, God, I mean, just that line, even without the rest of the poem, is so evocative. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. And so back to that question that I had been asking myself, and that I know so many of us are asking ourselves endlessly. Is it okay? Is it okay for us to be okay when around us there is pain? And the response that came was this: my darling girl, you ask me, is it okay to love what you do? Is it okay to love how you feel? Is it okay to love where you live? Is it okay to love who you love? Is it okay to be who you are? Is it okay to feel, to think, to be, to do, to say, to see, to cry, to laugh, to love, to breathe? Is it okay? And I say, yes, my love. It is all okay. So I send you love. May you be safe. May you be well. May you be happy. May you live with ease. May we all be safe. May we all be happy. May we all be well. May we all live with ease. I send you a hug and a wave.